Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel, and my hair is bad. Jesus Christ. Welcome to bad hair. I actually wanted to make a bad hair video. I wanted to start it out like welcome to bad hair Monday, but my hair is just terrible every day. So yeah, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are having a good day, an awesome day, and welcome to my favorite place in the whole town. Let me just very quickly show you around. This is I know it's a hill that's just located in the right place. Also, you can notice that it's a bit windy out here. Like, as soon as I got my microphone out, the wind just started going like crazy. So sorry for the terrible audio, because I don't have that cap. So yeah, I have a living. Alright, this is getting out of hand. We're gonna now look for a place that's a bit more quiet, like some trees or forests or whatever. Over there somewhere, maybe that one. Yeah, let's just check it out. Hey, can we go? Can we go? Excuse me, sir. Can we go? Oh, and by the way, if you're interested, I'm out here. Thank you. Today to take some pictures about the sunset. That's a pretty cool mindset. James Popsies has a whole video on it, so I encourage everybody to just check it out, because it's an awesome video and it's really eye-opening. Yep. And we're rolling. I hope I'm in focus or centered or whatever. Wait, let me adjust. And yeah, I guess there we go. Welcome to whatever, the back of the village or town I'm living in. So let's start this video, because the sun's going down and the light will be gone in minutes. Why I actually came out here with the microphone and everything like that, why I set this place up, is because I wanted to make a video about how to really understand your camera and how to stop using auto mode and just start using manual shooting more. And my mouth is dry and I have no water. So whatever, I'm in a couple of Facebook groups and I've seen people asking things like, I'm a beginner, what's ISO? What does Aperture do? What does shutter speed do? And I've been replying to some of these posts. Because of that, people started to ask me in personal messages of how their camera works. And well, that's cool. That's really cool. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you. I just don't have the time to reply to each and every message personally. I mean, it's not in person, I know, because it's still DMs, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. So I decided to make this little video for you to understand your camera, how it works, and what the three main settings do on your camera, so you can start shooting in manual mode instead of like auto. I'm going to go from the most obvious to the least obvious, explaining what the setting does, and keep in mind that all these settings, all three of them, have two properties each. One actually is the same for each and every one of them. They control light. That's one property of all of these settings, and the other we will be talking about right now. So setting number one will be shutter speed. I think that's the most obvious one out of the three. Shutter speed controls light, keeps the shutter open for a certain time and lets light in on your sensor. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm gonna stop. But the other thing is controlling what? Motion blur. Yeah, I think that's the easiest for you to understand. So shutter speed really controls motion blur. If you're shooting on a low shutter speed, for example 1/10 of a second, for something that's going really fast is going to be all blurred out. That is motion blur. And if you're shooting at like 1/1000th of a second, you are going to sort of quote unquote freeze the action, so that thing will stop there in place and it will not be blurry. So that's shutter speed. The lower your shutter speed is, like 1/10 of a second, the more light you're letting in. The higher it is, the less, so the darker your images will be. And that's setting number 1. Let's move on to setting number 2 before the sun goes down. ISO might be really the easiest to understand, so I messed the video up. But let's talk about ISO. ISO is a number used to describe your sensitivity of your sensor, if that makes sense. So the higher your ISO number is, the more light you get on the sensor, which is great because I guess you can see in the dark. Well, not really, because the higher you crank that ISO up, the higher the amount of image noise will be on your images. I'll let the car pass. So yeah, if you crank that ISO up like really high, like 25,000, your image will look unsharp. It's not going to be sharp. You are losing a great deal of quality, and also it's going to be noisy, grainy. You can see these little white and, well, colorful dots actually. Some cameras have better low light capabilities, like Sony. Sony is really doing a good job with their sensors, so I can easily crank my ISO up to, I know, something like 8,000 and still get a usable shot. Maybe I wouldn't put it in my portfolio, but I might consider. As long as you're keeping your ISO, I almost told you shutter speed. So keep in mind, as long as you're keeping your ISO the lowest possible, that is called the base ISO, you are going to have absolutely no problems. The base ISO is usually 100 or 200. In some cases it can be extended down to 50. My A7 II can be extended to 50, so I guess that's quite cool, yeah. And that is ISO. So the higher the number is, the more light you're letting in. No, the higher the number is, the more sensitive your sensor is to light, so the brighter your image will be. But also the higher the number is, your ISO number is, the more grain and noise will appear on your image. And moving on to number 3, because the sun is literally down, going into blue hour territory in just minutes. That's great. I missed it. So setting number 3 will be your aperture. Now, yeah, this is the most complicated to explain. Aperture is not on your camera. Aperture is in your lens. It's these little curved blades that close down and open up, and you can control this with an aperture ring on your lens if you have one, or on the back of your camera, depends on the model. Might not be the most useful information, but yeah, that's how you control your aperture. Essentially, aperture for one controls the light, how much light your lens is letting in on the lens, and for another, it doesn't blur out the background. That's stupid. Yeah, I got it. It controls your depth of field. So basically what it means is the lower this aperture number is, this f number, these are called f-stops actually. The lower this number is, for example, like f1.8 or f2 or f1.4, whatever, something along those lines, you are getting a lot of light in on your sensor, and you are getting a very... I forgot to speak. So you're getting a very small depth of field. You focus in on something, and everything behind the subject will be out of focus and just be obliterated in bokeh or bokeh, or I don't know how to say it. So it will be blurred out. Keep in mind, if you have a really low aperture like 1.2, another car comes. Let's just wait for it. You're a good boy. Yeah. Lie down. Yeah. Lie down. If you have a really big aperture, like a big opening like f1.2 or below that, you are going to have a hard time with focusing. Actually, your camera will even have a hard time with focusing, because it's just a very thin line that's in focus, and it's hard to focus on that. Like someone's eyes in focus, you manage to focus on the eyes, but the tip of the nose will be out of focus completely. So just watch out for that. And the higher this number is, like f11, 22, whatever ridiculous high f number you want to use, the darker the image will be, and the bigger depth of field you will have. So at something like f22, you are going to have the foreground and the background in focus too. This is very useful for landscape shots. I'm gonna see now if my exposure is still correct on the camera, because I doubt it very much. Yep, unbelievable, but the exposure is sort of good. It stayed good. So there you have it. That's your 3 camera settings. Shutter speed controls the light let in. Comes another car. So shutter speed controls the light that's let in on your sensor, and controls your motion blur. You have got ISO, which controls the sensitivity, I don't want to say that word again, of your sensor, and gives you image noise. So it's evil. Let's consider it evil. ISO is evil. The higher it is, the more evil it is. Makes absolutely no sense. And you've got aperture, which controls the light you're letting in, and your depth of field. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks for watching, and keep shooting, keep social distancing, and I'll be back hopefully soon. Yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out. Maybe consider pressing the subscribe button or the like button, or share this video with someone who you think might need how to set up your camera video. And yeah, that's it. Bye. Peace.